Infamous gunslinger Desmond Gibbons, better known across the Wild West as the Cactus Kid, comes to the sleepy town of Clarkson. Trouble finds him in the unlikeliest of sources, the sheriff. After their conflict, the Cactus Kid finds himself inexplicably wearing the badge of a lawman. Later, while on the trail of a serial killer, he and his deputy run afoul of a powerful druid, and the events that lead to the Cactus Kid's transformation into the hulking, four-armed projectile reptile are even more than the druid bargained for. From the Wild West to current-day Los Angeles, where he meets superheroes Black Eagle and Red Hawk, and forms an uneasy alliance with the stunning but deadly Kitty Hawk. Join the projectile reptile on a journey of gunslinging druidic magic, superheroes, and artifacts. Projectile Reptile from Dojo Kun Comics, only on Indiegogo. Are you ready for the truly Wild West?
Hey everyone, welcome to the 44th episode of the Dojo Kun Shill Shack, and it's the second to last episode. We'll be talking about that probably at the end of the show and maybe quite a bit more on the next show to tell you why we're ending the Dojo Kun Shill Shack. But before we do, we still have some exciting projects to talk about, and here to help me interview tonight is a returning guest co-host, Smiling Bandito. Hello, sir.
Hail and well met. How are we doing today?
Doing great. Looking forward to talking about the campaign today. Anything going on in the world that you want to talk about first, though?
Oh, I don't know. Was I supposed to have something prepared?
Did I catch you off guard? Yeah, I was just thinking that if there was a current topic that we wanted to talk about.
No, I'm looking forward to getting into some of Mark's stuff here. Super interested to hear what's happening with Connie Waves. And I see that he's also got a couple future projects on the go as well. So hopefully he's able to dive in to some of that as we go.
Yeah, that's something that he's always got going on. He's got quite a bit of history, of course. We'll talk to him about that. But
I'm just happy to be here.
Multiple projects going, right? So let's bring him on and start the grilling, if you will. Hi, Mark. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem. It's great to have you back on the show again. We were talking before we came on the air that our last time together on this show, we each had our son with us. Pearson was my co-host, and Chase was on to talk about his co-creating Bazooka Dog, which is a cool character. And I remember that you were working with Renzo Rodriguez about that, and Renzo's been working with me on Projectile Reptile. So it comes full circle, and you're back with us. Boy, like Bandito said, you have got a lot going on. In fact, we're here to talk mostly about the campaign for Loose Threads, but he's right. You've got something going on with Coney Waves as well. So I'm not sure where to start. How about tell us about the campaign for Loose Threads?
Sure. So Loose Threads was inspired by my time at DC Comics. I was scripting Rob Liefeld's Savage Hawkman during the New 52. And from all accounts, I thought the editors loved what we were doing. At least that's the impression I got. And then one day I was leaving my day job. At the time, I worked for a mortgage company. And as I'm leaving the building, I'm checking my phone as I'm walking to my car, and I see that I got a Twitter notification. So I pull it up, and the tweet says, "Man, I sure hope Mark has a job after this." And I was like, what? And I'm sitting in my car in the parking lot of my day job, and I'm just following this long Twitter thread, trying to figure out what is going on. And it turns out Rob Liefeld, whose stories I was scripting on Hawkman, had quit DC Comics very publicly. Oh. And as I go through this thread, I find out online that I no longer have a job. And hours later, then I get the email from my editor saying, "Hey, I guess you saw what happened today. I'm
what a
really
way to find out."
I'm really sorry. It was great working with you, but we'll be announcing a new writer." And I was devastated because we had huge plans for Hawkman. In fact, they had already given us our pay vouchers for the next year. They had greenlit the next like year's worth of stories, and I was heartbroken. I've never really the making money on comics is awesome, but I've always had a day job, so I didn't have to rely on that for a paycheck. So I was more concerned about actually the story than the job and what I'm going to do. And I was honestly heartbroken about not getting a chance to finish this Hawkman story. And at the same time, I was writing Evangeline at Image, and that had been canceled. And I thought we were on good ground there. So I had 2 series in the middle of huge storylines, both canceled on me. And I thought, what's going to happen to these characters? And the more I thought about it, I was like, wow, that's actually a good story for a comic. What happens to comic book characters when their series are canceled?
And so 100% of the stories that you were working for with DC were all canceled?
Well, so they weren't canceled. We were just the writers. So Rob Liefeld quit, and then I was fired. And they brought in a new writer to finish the series. I mean, we took over a Hawkman series that was 1 foot in the grave. We sort of like stabilized sales.
Right.
I think the writing was on the wall that wasn't going to last very long. So,
well, I was just trying to see how consistent DC is, and it sounds like 100% consistent.
Yeah. So, there was actually more to the DC story. So after they fired me the first time, 2 days later, they called me back. And this time I actually got a phone call, and they said, we already paid for Rob's stories. We liked the work you were doing. So we just decided we're going to bring you back to finish scripting them. And we're going to double your pay, for your trouble. I was like, wow, this is actually going to turn out better than I could have imagined. And
you see being the hero for once.
Yeah. Well,
wait, there's more.
Yeah. So like the very next day, so they doubled my pay. So I got right to work on issue 13 of Savage Hawkman. And that day, Rob Liefeld got into a big Twitter beef with Scott Snyder on what sells Batman. Does Scott Snyder's writing sell Batman, or does Batman sell Batman? and Rob believed Batman sold Batman, which I tend to agree with him. Scott Snyder thought his writing had something to do with it. Well, it was a very public and bitter back and forth between the two. And I thought, oh man, I have a feeling this isn't going to end well for me. And sure enough, I managed to finish up issue 13. I turned it in, and the very next day I got a call from my editor asking me how I was doing. I said, oh, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I just turned in the script for 13. And he was like, well, I hope you're still doing great after this phone call. Basically, he told me I was being fired to get back at Rob for his feud with Scott Snyder. Officially, they were going to say I was being let go due to miscommunication. That I don't even know what that means.
Well, I think the moral of the story is that we know DC is never really going to break character. So.
Yeah. So
wow, that's really underhanded.
Yeah, so I got fired twice in a matter of days from the same job. But it inspired me to write a great story, a story I'm really proud of that I think is one of the best things I've ever worked on with Loose Threads.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Oh, well.
So Loose Threads is is where you're picking up from that story and reworking it for this?
Yeah, I basically reimagined like the characters I was working on at that time. Queen Madeline's a stand-in for Evangeline. The Red Osprey is Savage Hawkman. And Queen Madeline, she's in the middle of this huge battle with her villain, Necro Dragon. And right as she's about to fulfill her destiny and slay him, everything around her goes blank. All she sees is, a wall of white. In the distance is a door. She walks to the door. She opens it up. And inside are superheroes, barbarians, comic book characters just hanging out in a waiting room. It's comic book purgatory where canceled characters go to wait to be rebooted.
So Superboy's sitting there now, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So once she like gets the gist of where she is at, she's not taking her cancellations sitting down. She rounds up a group of like-minded characters, and they break out into the real world to track their creator down at a Comic-Con and force him to finish their story so they can fulfill their destinies.
Oh, I love it. That's like breaking the fourth wall to the ultimate.
It's like what something like She-Hulk should have been.
Yeah. If only they'd had Mark write it.
They had the opportunity. Because he was out of a job.
Yeah.
They had the opportunity for Mark to write the new She-Hulk.
So the artwork is just gorgeous. The artwork is by Cesar Madaro, an artist I've known for almost 20 years. It's weird how everyone I work with we all go back to being friends on the Rob Liefeld message boards in the early 2000s. That's how I met John Malin and pitched him Graveyard Shift. That's how I met Mike McMahon, who I do U.S. Assassin with. Caesar now on Loose Threads, Greg Poulton on Black Owl, and our colorist on Graveyard Shift and U.S. Assassin, Anthony George, he was there too.
So it's like you're slowly getting the band back together.
Yeah.
DC 2.0. Well, that's really good. So Loose Threads is the current work. This is your personal work. This is like you getting other artists to be like, I'm headlining this, as opposed to it being like Graveyard Shift kind of underneath the Malin's banner.
Well, so John publishes Graveyard Shift. We both own a Graveyard Shift. Graveyard Shift was actually my idea. I came up with the name, the idea, and I pitched it to John in a DM on the Rob Liefeld message boards and said I had this idea for the Universal Monsters as superheroes, and I sent him the first 5 pages, and it had Vlad, Mick, Lily, Van Helsing in it. So I get it. John's very popular guy, and he's a larger than life character. But I feel like I deserve a little more credit than I get for Graveyard Shift.
Well, you'll get it from me, that's for sure.
That's
Thank
fair. You. I appreciate that. Yes.
But now Loose Threads is like your own. You're going to be putting up the campaign. You are definitely headlining this whole endeavor.
Yep. I'm publishing it under my company that I started with my son, Haunted Pizza.
Very cool.
Haunted Pizza. So it says it's 20 days left, Mark. Is that out of the first 30, or are we in the second 30 now?
We're in the second 30.
Second 30. With 175 backers, that's not cheap. Over 12 grand, which is great for this book, but I think we can do better than that, right? With another 3 weeks to go. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And particularly, folks, because Mark's got, like it says here, 11 campaigns under his belt. And that was one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. We mentioned Graveyard Shift. We mentioned a couple of your other projects, And again, you're going back to another one called Coney Waves, which I think you've already done some issues of that. And are you going to do like a trade paperback of those issues, or is this something brand new?
No, so Coney Waves, it was the book that I started my comic book career on in 2006. I'm rebooting it, reimagining it. There's always things looking back at it that I wish I had done differently, and now I have the platform to do that. And I am busy, so I brought some people along to help me. I have Mandy Summers helping me with the writing. One of my favorite artists to work with, Renzo Rodriguez. He's doing the artwork, and Coney Waves co-creator Dexter Weeks is going to be coloring the book.
So
very cool. That sounds sounds like a top team.
Yeah, no, I'm really excited. We're already about 20 pages into the book. I like to have them pretty much done, maybe with the exception of the lettering, before I launch the campaign. So we're scheduled to launch in March, and I think we'll have all the artwork done in time for that.
Oh, great. I had asked Renzo just earlier today Honest to God, just earlier today, I asked him, "So, are you working on any comic projects right now?" And although he didn't reveal what, he said, "Oh yeah, sorry, dude, can't work with you right yet." And I said, "Well, you let me know when you can."
Yeah, Renzo's the best. Yeah, I love working with him.
He's definitely fun to work with. Yep. Let's say hi to Varukasai. Thank you for being here. A Drink with Crazy is here. Just met him recently. Great to have you here in the chat with us. And I see that Bandito is saying hi to everybody. Appreciate it.
Hey, it's what I'm here for.
That's right. So for Coney Waves, Mark, I think we talked about it before too, and that is how many issues did you have? I think it was quite a few, wasn't it?
Yeah, so in 2006, Coney Waves started out as a 3-issue miniseries, but then we shifted to the graphic novel format. So so we did like a couple volumes then as graphic novels, but then we did one shots every now and then, like crossover one shots, Evangeline versus Coney Waves Demon Slayer, stuff like that. There's at one point we put out a Coney omnibus, and it was like, I don't know, something like 200 pages. So we ended up doing quite a few issues.
I guess so.
At first, yeah.
200 pages. Wow. Now, will there be? I almost hesitate to ask this. Will there be a catch-up tier on what you're doing with it now?
No, I mean, I still have the original first issues, and I have some of the collected editions. But since this is a reboot, I'd rather not release. Do a reprint of the older stuff. I'd rather this new thing be, if it's your first taste of Coney Waves, I want that to be what you think, because I feel like this is definitely how I always imagined the series to be.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Now, you mentioned that you've got Mandy Summers helping on the writing, and no matter what people say, I've read some of her comics, and she is very good. I mean, people say that, it's a big chimpanzee army. They're only supporting her because of, the personality and cleavage she shows, but I disagree. I think that, those are nice and everything, but she's a great writer too.
Yeah, no, she's really impressed me. I think I like really, I mean, I've always loved Mandy. She's awesome for the community, great on YouTube, but I backed Super Dead, and that's like when I really took notice to her writing, that I thought she was really great. And then Jack the Ripper was awesome, and now she's working with Dale Keown. She's just she's blowing up.
She's
at the top of her game.
Down.
Yeah,
yeah, that's right, top of her game for sure. And when she came on my show just recently, I didn't know this, but she had sent the link to Dale. And when she said, "I hope you don't mind," I'm thinking to myself two things. First of all, I said, "You hope I don't mind? Are you serious?" and secondly, honestly, I didn't expect him to come on, but all of a sudden there he was in the back room. I'm like, I'll be damned. Dale Keown's on my show. That was very cool.
Dale's awesome. Mandy's had me over on her channel, and Dale's just there hanging out.
Yep. He's so down to earth. And
I'm surprised you're surprised, Dojo, because like I said, there's only two types of people in the world: those who have been on Dojo's Shill Shack and those who have not.
Those who have not yet, you mean?
Not yet. Yeah.
Right. So in addition to Coney Waves, I think that there's yet another project you've got in the wings, don't you?
Yeah, so my next year is pretty much all mapped out. Coney Waves is going to be March. I'm going to try to fit in a campaign before that in January. It's called Hurley's Heroes. It's about a man who dedicates his life to helping others after he receives superpowers from his superhero organ donor. And I just, I don't know. I thought it was such a unique idea that I'm surprised has never been done before. And it co-stars Sea Dog, which is a character I created with my son. It's more of a traditional superhero book, and not as dark or violent as my other like U.S. Assassin Graveyard Shift books. So I don't know. I think there's a great story there. But I was a little disappointed with the sign up so far. So to spice things up, I'm making it a flip book, and I'm a flip book where on the back side you flip it over and there's another comic.
Okay.
and it's going to be the first appearance of the Universal's initiative. Now, before Graveyard Shift, John and I worked for a studio in Mexico called Red Room, and they hired us to create this superhero universe. It was called the Universals for them. They own the trademark for the Universals in Mexico, but in the U.S., someone else had already released a Universals. So so we added the initiative for my release of it.
Okay.
But we worked on it 13 years ago. Never published because one of the owners was an architect, and his business just blew up. He created a chain of superhero themed restaurants in Mexico, and the characters we created are actually like life-size statues in those restaurants, and they're on the menus. And I was like, I've been trying for years to get like a copy of the menu because I had a hand in creating these characters. I want it for my own collection, but
Yeah, that's cool.
I haven't been able to. But I've always kept tabs on and stayed friendly with the owners. And recently, I hit him up and said, "Hey, do you have any plans to still publish this?" And he was the one owner was like, "I'm sorry, my business is just doing so well, especially with COVID. Now he's building all these hospitals, which I guess isn't great for for health reasons, but for him, he's so busy." And I was like, "Well, I would be interested in publishing that if you were okay with it." And he said he was not only okay with it, he's giving me creative control to finish it how I see fit. So
Nice.
I have I have 40 pages of John Malin artwork, 40 pages of my original story. But that was only the beginning of what this series was going to be. So I'm going to release those 40 Malin pages over 2 volumes, and then I'm going to add new content with artist Chris Graves, who I've been working with. He's going to help me flesh out the rest of this universe. But to just give people a taste of this comic, I'm doing a 12-page preview that's included in Hurley's Heroes to sort of spice up that, make that more someone who wouldn't be as interested in a more, I don't know, traditional superhero book. They'll get this like awesome, cool book that from the creators of Graveyard Shift as well.
That is cool. That's a great idea. Now, the idea that the organ donor passes on his powers to the recipient, for example, you're right. That is unique. The only thing I could think of that was close to that was a comic by David Whalen called In Utero, where a woman is her fetus is a superhero, and because he's inside her stomach or in her womb growing, she is then superpowered until he's born, which I thought was a kind of a cool thing. But the idea then that the organ donor is a superhero. Do you tell us the backstory as to how how his demise brought the organs to the recipient?
Yeah, we go into that. So the story just takes place. You just go right into the action.
Basically, he had a really bad day.
So you're in the middle of this big battle, and as he's fighting this villain, he's replaying the events in his life that has led to this. So you find out, his backstory, how he got how he was the recipient of these organs, what happened to the superhero that donated these organs, and just how ever since he sort of feels like he owes the world a debt that he needs to do more with his life. And he's decided to dedicate his life to helping others.
Okay, so is this a single issue story arc, or will there be more of Hurley's Heroes?
So I wrote it as a self-contained story, but I want to do more. I just feel like there's so much there to tell with someone who feels like they owe the world a debt.
Yeah, I kind of like that. That's
very.
And he's
much
going to
so.
step up and be a hero in order to pay it.
Mm-hmm.
What was that, Bandito?
I was saying you were saying that you like that. I was like, yeah, very much so. I think that we've kind of forgotten in our stories that people aren't self-made, and everyone kind of seems to figure, like we see a lot of the superhero stories that are coming out now that are about characters who are trying to prove themselves to themselves, not where they've got themselves kind of worked out, or like it's not necessarily their problems. It's where the community has already supported them. The community has already, Superman was brought up by parents on an alien world that he crashed on. He's not self-made, even though he himself, I mean, he can go and do and say and be whatever he wants. It was a community that brought him up. It was a culture that brought him up. And so he looks after this planet because the planet looked after him, right? And this idea that, but we look at, what's her name? Kamala Khan? Is that her name?
Miss Marvel now?
Miss
Yes.
Marvel. She was just a fangirl of another superhero. And so when she gets these powers, she's like trying to prove to herself that she can be, as insignificant and influential as, her icon. And there's room for those kinds of stories, but I feel like we've kind of tipped the scale towards the stories being external as opposed to internal. And the so this idea where, he does owe this debt, whether rightly so or not, where he feels that he owes this debt and he's trying to just do good things in the world, I think is really significant in a time like we have now. So, because I mean, that's the thing about Superman is Douglas Copeland, way back in the day, he had actually said when Superman died, Douglas Copeland is a Canadian author. He had said he'd always liked the idea of Superman, even though he never read the comics or was a fan of the superheroes. He always liked the idea that there was somebody in the world who only did good things and could fly. But
and can fly.
and could fly. But so yeah, I mean, this idea of a debt owed, the things that make up the superheroes for today, I think we've kind of moved away from the sense of we can do good for everyone around us and still be true to ourselves and that kind of stuff without it being something external making us that way. So
yeah, a drink with crazy says it well. He says this sounds like the type of stories I want to expose my kids to, and I agree. We've got an awful lot of heroes out there that are just angst-ridden. They're reluctant heroes. They don't really want to do the right thing. I'm binge watching the Marvel the Marvel Disney Plus television shows. And in every one of the cases, whether it's Daredevil, Luke Cage, whatever, they're the reluctant heroes. Now, Daredevil, not so much because he keeps wanting to do the right thing. But, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, especially Jessica Jones, does not want to be a hero. And it's like, why is it all of these characters that we want to look up to, we want to use as escapism, we want to identify with as, I could be that hero. They just don't anymore. They don't want to be. So this guy here that Mark's writing, in his book, Hurley's Heroes, feels he's got a debt, wants to pay it back to society. That is, I think, in and of itself, a heroic, motivation.
Yeah, it was actually inspired by a friend of mine who received a kidney transplant and pancreas transplant. And
became a superhero? Oh, my goodness.
Oh, well, he did dedicate his life to helping others. He works with special needs children now. And I when I heard his story, I thought there was really a story there and something that would translate to superheroes and would be a good role model for kids. I mean, like I said before, a lot of the stuff I write with like Graveyard Shift, US Assassin sort of tends to lean towards the darker and bloodier side of things. I like to make change things up, and like Black Owl was more traditional superheroes, more lighthearted. Viking Wolf was more horror oriented. I like to do different things because creatively I think it keeps me fresher and able to juggle everything, because it gives me an opportunity to work on different things.
It keeps your creative juices flowing, where you can maybe set aside one and work on the other for a little while, and then come back to the first one with fresh eyes or something. Yeah, I agree.
No, a typical day I'm working on between 3 different scripts going back and forth.
Oh, wow. Okay. And keeping them all straight. Very good. Let's pull back up your Loose Threads campaign. And I wanted to ask you if you want to direct me through the campaign, not so much to hit every point, because folks can pull up the campaign on their own and have a look at it. But if there's anything in particular you wanted to point out as either the biggest bang for your buck or the thing that is your favorite.
Sure. Let's pull up this first image right here, the George Perez cover.
Yes. What a coup that is.
Yeah. So Cesar Madaro, the interior artist, we've been working on Loose Threads for quite a while. And early on in the process, he was so excited. He's from Spain, and he went to a comic convention, and he was so excited. He emailed me and said that he had gotten a very famous artist to agree to do a cover for us. And I didn't think, I didn't really believe him. I thought his idea of famous probably isn't the same as mine, but I'm going to be very polite and thank him. I'm not sure if I'll use it as a cover. And then he turned it in, and it's George freaking Perez. And like, he's not a famous artist. He's like one of the, in my opinion, top 3 artists of all time. In my opinion, it's like Jack Kirby, Neil Adams, George Perez. And that the fact that he got George Perez to agree to do this cover is amazing. And the fact that it was his last trip to Spain for a convention was just luck on our part. But he drew the main character, Queen Madeline, in the crystal ball. Caesar drew the rest of it. When George heard the idea, he drew it in about 2 hours before he was supposed to meet some other artists for lunch. But he knocked it out of the park. Queen Madeline looks amazing. And the fact that this could very well be the last George Perez cover is insane to me. I don't know if there's anything in the vault or what, but right now this could be the last cover, and it's absolutely mind-boggling to me that it's part of my campaign.
That's huge. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you're right. I don't have the same top 3, but I definitely include him in my top 3.
Yeah.
He's that good. And he's drawn everyone.
There isn't a discussion about the top 3 without him being a part of it.
That's right.
Yeah.
In addition to the fact that he was skilled beyond measure and set a gold standard, in my opinion, I've also heard many accounts that he was just such a personable person, really loved and honored the fans. I have this one story at the comic book shop that I would frequent for many years. The owner met him at a restaurant, and George was surrounded. I think there were like 3 or 4 ladies sitting with him at the table, just him and 3 or 4 ladies. And this comic book store owner went over and said, "Hey, wow, it must be nice to be George Perez." He goes, "It ain't bad, I can tell you that." He put his arm around 2 ladies. And I'm sure one of them was his wife. So,
I mean, yeah, just the fact that he didn't know Caesar, and just the fact that a fan approached him and said, "Hey, I have this idea for a cover," and to agree to it and to draw it on the spot. I mean, I've approached artists for covers at conventions, and I've had to wait months, years. Sometimes I paid and I never got the covers.
Oh, wow.
So the fact that
we all have one of those stories.
Yeah, the fact that he knocked it out in a couple hours to make sure it got done, incredible.
Yes. What a definite great get that is. Now, you mentioned that you're also going to be working with Chris Graves in the future, and I see he also did a cover for you on this one. Chris is another very talented artist. Let me see if I can. There it is.
There it is, right there. Yeah, Chris is awesome. A year ago, I didn't know Chris. I think he submitted a Lilith pinup for Graveyard Shift Visions.
Mm-hmm.
But I started seriously working out back in February, and I would always check in at my gym. And Chris messaged me and said, "Hey, I didn't realize you lived in Jersey. If you ever want to work out together." Well, he lived nearby, and Chris looks like Captain America. He is jacked. So I was like, yeah, I would love to have someone to work out with. So we started working out together. The first day I showed up at his gym, he had a whole program for me and a diet. And he goes, I don't know if you're gonna if you want to be this serious about it, but I made this up for you. And I was like, yeah, I'm all in. So we work out every Sunday. We talk comics, and he's a great artist. So I started involving him in my campaigns with covers. Now he's working on the universals with me. Finishing up the unfinished stories,
Right.
and then we have a creator owned project in the works too that we're not going to announce it until we have some colored artwork for.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah. See, like I said, you've always got something in the hopper, and I got to be honest with you. That kind of dedication is it's endearing. I'm going to try to emulate that. So yeah, you are one of the gold standards in this indie comic community, not only based on your work ethic, the fact that you're so personable and come on all these shows, but I mean, you're knocking these things out one after the other after the other. That shows, again, dedication. I appreciate that about you.
Thank you. Going back to getting fired by DC, I was so busy working on other people's projects, working on Evangeline, working on Hawkman. I wasn't working on my own projects. So when I lost both of those jobs, I had nothing in the pipeline and I had to start all over. And I told myself I was never going to be in that position again. I always have something going on. I probably, to a fault, I might bite off a little more, too much. But I don't know. I feel like this is all going to end one day, and I don't. I want to get all my stories out there, so I'm going to work as hard as I can.
I like hearing when people want to be busy, because my personal view is that busy people get things done. So even though they have too much stuff on their plate, they're still getting more done. Even if they end up dropping the balls here and there, they end up getting more done than people who just have like one or two things on the go.
Yeah, no. Honestly, like if I wasn't making comics, what would I be doing? Would I just be watching TV? Or I don't play video games, so I probably would just be watching TV or wasting time. I like to be productive.
Yes.
There you go.
And
yes,
the fact
absolutely.
that and the fact that I involve my son in a lot of these projects, it's great because I get to spend time with him as well.
Not
Very
only
cool.
that, which is a very good point, but also too, you're demonstrating a work ethic and a dedication. And I don't know if he's going to go into comics, but that's something obviously he'll decide for himself. But he'll still be able to apply what he's learned from you in whatever he goes into.
Yeah, as of now, he tells me he's going to be an illustrator, which I think is fantastic because I'll have someone to draw all my stories.
I am currently trying to press my kiddos into the same thing.
Yeah, awesome. So there's one more thing with the campaign, one more like reward that I'd love to talk about, and that is Emerge, the art book that I'm publishing. My friend Heather, she's done pinups for me for U.S. Assassin, Black Owl. She's doing a piece for Loose Threads. She took up art when she was going through chemo the first time she had cancer. She's had cancer 6 times, and this has been
Wow.
really a form of therapy for her. And all this artwork is the work she's done while she's battled cancer. And I was just really happy to be able to publish this for her. It's a 48-page hardcover. It's beautiful artwork, and it includes 3 postcards of her pinups that she's done for Haunted Pizza.
Wow.
This stuff is great. Yeah. And you said she's done some work with Black Owl. Oh, yeah. She's providing artwork with Black Owl. Cool.
Yep. And it's a hardcover, $25. You can get, we're offering 4 books in the campaign: the George Perez cover, the Chris Graves cover, the black and white edition of Loose Threads, and the art book for $100. That's our featured tier. If you signed up for our mailing list, you could get all 4 books for $80.
That's crazy. That's a really great deal. Really great
That's
offer.
the fan pack right here.
Yep. And the art book's actually done. I just looked at a digital proof of it. So I'll be ordering that probably before the campaign even ends. So once the campaign does end, if you just purchased the art book, I'm going to be fulfilling that probably before Indiegogo even sends me my funds.
Oh, okay.
That's fantastic. So are you now, is this your full-time job, or do you still have work on the
side? so I still I still have my day job. I don't know. I've always just been able to manage everything. And I joke, if I did this full time, there wouldn't be enough months in the year to crowdfund everything I did. As it is right now, I have a bit of a backlog, which is a great problem to have. But I don't know. Maybe I would live stream. Maybe I would live stream more if I did this full time, which would probably help. But I don't know.
Probably need to move this out of crowdfunding. I mean, I've always said crowdfunding isn't a business model because people can only back so many projects all year long. But if you have a business model that kind of has a stuff coming out on the side, people are going to be more willing to kind of pick up bulk orders and that kind of stuff outside of crowdfunding. So
yeah, right now, after I finish the campaigns and fulfill them, I move the extra stock to my online store. I launched my website maybe a month ago, and I've been really pleased with the sales for that. I kind of kicked myself, wish I had done it sooner.
We always wish that we had done it sooner because we realize how well it works. And
no, I was actually like really surprised that there was people, because I figured, everyone in our community would get them in the campaigns, but no, there's still people out there that have, for whatever reasons, weren't able to back at that time. And then there's maybe people who, aren't part of the community that just stumbled across the book somehow, and campaigns closed, so they find the website and they're able to order.
Excellent.
Yeah, and that's how you keep stuff evergreen, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of I think it was Frege who maybe came up with or said it that way, where you want to make sure that there's always something for people to buy. Mm-hmm. And I think keeping our Indiegogos open is kind of a poor man's substitute with how we could really capitalize on the work that we've done. So yeah, I think I don't know. Personally, I think everyone should be moving towards a more personal storefront than simply trying to use Indiegogo.
Yeah, and I've tested it on a small scale by just offering something strictly on my online store, just to see how it would go, like an ash can. And I was pleased, 100 orders, and that's without people really knowing about it, like knowing that like that's the place to go. So hopefully, like going forward, I can direct enough traffic to the website that I can do more, more releases straight to the store.
That's the goal. I think that's what everyone should be aiming for, because we can only have so many campaigns open at a time, right? And if you want to have, I mean, maybe for artists,
I feel like Loose Threads was sort of maybe a casualty of that launching in between Wrath of God and Fiendish 2. There's only so many big campaigns in a month, and man, September was full of them.
Yeah, exactly. And when you have, go for it, Dojo.
I was going to say that was one of the things that I've been recently mentioning, both in Twitter and on my streams, is that there's a certain number of people out there who have a finite amount of money that they're going to put toward these campaigns. I think Danger Vanessa said it best. She said, there are so many I want to back that I had to limit myself. And she said that she picked, I think it was 4 or 5 per month that she was going to back. And even at 4 or 5, if you're talking $25, $30 a piece, that's over $100 a month that she's dedicated toward backing friends and artists and writers that she's fans of here in this indie niche, if you will.
If
So
she only gets the basic tier.
Yeah, right. Yeah, good point. And so, like Mark alluded to, if there's 4, 5, 6, 10 campaigns, particularly some of which are really big and everybody wants to get a hold of in a month, some of those have to be, she's either got to back them some other time or not at all, depending on when she has the opportunity. So, having said all that, yes, if you've got a website like Mark talked about launching a month ago that makes your products available and evergreen, now maybe on a slow month, maybe, I don't know, March is slow. And she says, well, I said I would back 5. I remember I was unable to get that one book by Mark. I'm going to go back to his website and see if I can get it there. Bam, another sale.
And then she buys 2 because you got extra stuff on your site. Yeah.
Uh-oh, we've got porn bot. Hey, you know what? I think that's a sign of I've made it, right? When the porn bot starts spamming your chat.
There you go. She's been following Mark around.
There you go. Yeah, we'll get that.
It's good to hear that you got your website up and that the initial response has been really good. I think because it's never going to work 100% of the time for 100% of the people. So it's good to hear that all signs seem to be positive currently.
Yeah, no, not just with the website, but the last 4 years of crowdfunding have been incredible. After my run on the mainstream, I sort of took a break from comics and was doing children's books because it seemed like the comic industry didn't want to publish the type of books I wanted to make. And then it was when my son came up with the idea for Pizza Tree. I was like, oh, we're not taking this to a publisher. We're going to do it ourselves. And I didn't crowdfund it. I just paid for a print run of 100 or 1,000 hardcovers. And my son and I went from convention to convention, in-store appearance, and we sold. I think we have one case left of Pizza Tree, which is now in my online store. But that was 2017, and that was just as Comicsgate and crowdfunding was really blowing up. And to see that, we don't have to travel all around the country to sell these. We can actually just put it on the website and crowdfund it has really, helped us grow our business from one father and son book to a whole line of books to a website, an online store, hopefully action figures down the line and toys and other cool stuff.
Oh man, if you get to do action figures, I am going to be so jelly. I priced the action figures for Siamese, and one of the things they said was there was a minimum order of 2,000 units. Now, what I did was I said, one's got a black tail and one's got a white tail. Could I get 1,000 of each and call that the minimum? They were actually amenable to that. They said, yeah, we could do it that way. I'm like, oh, excellent. But yeah, that was a stretch goal that was kind of a lofty one. Didn't quite get there, but that doesn't mean I've thrown that idea aside. We'll see what we can do in the future.
Yeah, no, I've just been really inspired seeing what people have done, from going to comics to doing action figures, video games, all sorts of cool stuff. Who knows? Maybe one of us eventually will crowdfund a movie based off our comic.
Oh my gosh. I've already started picking the people that I want to cast for it. Although when that happens, they might be too old for the role.
Well, and there's been a few movies that have been crowdfunded successfully, like Super Troopers and what have you.
Terrifier
2, which I just saw in theaters. Incredible movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
And video games have also taken a huge leap forward. They've brought back Shadowrun and all that kind of stuff through crowdfunding. And I mean, the sky's the limit. Crowdfunding is a great equalizer for getting those big bucks if you can get the audience to it. So.
And that is the goal right there, or the challenge is to get the audience. We've got a certain niche within a niche here, but I've seen some Kickstarter of comic books reach $300,000, $400,000. It's like, what? How do I get that audience? I know.
Well, we know some of the groundwork. I mean, to sell 1,000 books in a year, you do what Bancroft did, which is have content every single day. and he just put aside an hour, and every single day he just made sure that he had that hour, and that's all he did. And in a year, it sold him 1,000 books. And if we want to go bigger than that, then of course we need to make sure that we're creating and producing genuine entertainment. I mean, that's kind of how the big guys do it, right? Like they don't sell anything if they're not being entertaining.
That's right.
So,
yep.
It's the same deal for us. We have to create new, genuinely accessible entertainment.
Totally agree. And, the meritocracy still stands, in my opinion. The quality of these books matters. Getting these books like Graveyard Shift. I've got one sitting right over here. I still have to read it. Sorry, Mark.
That's okay.
but one of the reasons that it's right here is because when I find downtime, it's one of those things where the quality of these books, I think, surpasses what I can get at the comic book store anymore. I'm happy to pay the premium to get this kind of thing, not just to support the production of these books, because I feel like a lot of these folks have become my friends, but also too to keep this going so that the next project can be done. So that when Mark wants to do Coney Waves and when Mark wants to do the next Graveyard Shift, that sort of thing rolls from one capital investment to another. So that's definitely the challenge, but the reward as well. So, Mark, I wanted to ask you about the character I have on the screen right now.
Yeah.
I don't know much about him, but already he's one of my favorites. I love the idea of the mask or that goggle thing on his face changing to show his emotion, which is perfect because I think you called him Emoji.
Yeah. So he's a villain in the Loose Threads book. He makes a brief appearance, but Caesar and I just loved working on him so much that we gave him his own spin-off, and one of the add-ons. So this image right here is a foil trading card that you can add on to your order for $5. But we're working on an emoji one-shot called Emoji Saves Christmas, and this is where the North Pole has been taken over, and the government recruits Emoji to lead a team to the North Pole to save Santa. And I've always loved like Treasury Edition comics and Christmas stories. So I was like, let's combine this and do a. So right now it's just the ash can is just going to be ash can size. But when we do the Emoji Saves Christmas actual campaign, it'll be Treasury Edition book for Christmas.
Oh my gosh, that's cool.
Yeah. And there's like a sample of Caesar's black and white artwork right underneath that, and he's just killing it. His so detailed. It's Emoji with his team of heroes that he's leading. Just fun stuff, and I just love that little look on his face right there. And ever since I've shared Emoji with doing live streams and stuff, people have given me great ideas. Like they want to see, like, what does he see when what emoji flashes on his face when he sees a hot girl? Well, it's an eggplant. And
why is that, Mark? No,
yeah.
I'm kidding.
Well, yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I look forward to working more on Emoji Saves Christmas.
That's cool. I love that idea. Oh, and for the first 100 backers, this sounds familiar, but it's 6 a.m. I mean, what kind of campaign would it be if you didn't have a Mark Marianelli sticker? Or,
yeah.
So let's see. Oh,
yep,
it's you.
Yeah. You're a reigning, defending, unified, undisputed world champion of the CGWF, the Deathmatch King, the Moral Compass. You get a sticker of me.
All right. So I think this will be just as popular as the little Lego of you.
Yeah. Oh, man. The Lego. I couldn't believe how popular the Lego was when I first introduced that. That was for my Viking Wolf campaign. And man, the first 100 backers, I wanted to create buzz for that campaign. And it definitely paid off. A pricey gimmick to do, but it was definitely worth it. We ran out of those minifigures in the first couple hours of the campaign, which is awesome.
Yes, that's very cool. I see you have some stretch goals here. We're not going to hit them all individually, but it's definitely good to have them. Emoji versus Bazooka Dog, U.S. Assassin and Sea Dog. Wow.
Yeah,
he's busy.
I love Caesar's artwork so much. I wanted to see him draw some of my other characters, so I
Okay.
gave him a whole list to to choose from, and he drew them all.
Very cool. I love it. So, all right, I was just checking to see. So you're at 12,500, and I'm going back down to the stretch goals now at 10,000. So this one here, the backers are going to get the trading card, and this is by who did this? This is him as well. Okay.
Yep.
I mean, I'll be honest. That's a very Perez-esque look to that piece right there.
Yeah, I see it.
And then this one here is at 15. Okay, so there's a little ways to go to that. We will definitely refresh here. I'm hoping maybe one or two. I don't know if to get a big bump here, but not yet. Okay, well, I do get quite a few watches on the replay, which is cool because I think right now I'm streaming against like 3 or 4 other channels at the same time here. Definitely got to step up the Wednesday program.
Yeah, no, it's every night. There's always someone streaming, it seems like.
That's right. Yeah. The CG guide, as a matter of fact, I'm sure you're aware, I had a CG guide that I put together after my campaign with Siamese. I had been on 80 shows. And the CG guide currently on my website, I think it's outdated. I keep wanting to mention this to folks. If you've got a show, either your show has changed over the course of the last year, you got a brand new one, new co-hosts with you, please contact me so I can keep that CG guide up to date as best possible.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then, of course, I'll remind folks on Twitter and Facebook that it's there and drive people to the shows that you have. Now, in addition to looking at Mark's program, what I'd like to do is I want to tout another one, a great friend of the channel. Let me go back here to StreamYard. Sorry, I got to push a couple buttons here. A great friend of the channel. I think that his campaign is woefully underfunded, to be perfectly honest with you. And I wanted to bring it to the attention of my audience, and that is Cobalt Death Stalks Us by Jake Adams. I see that he's got 88 backers. It's under 4,000 so far. It's been in demand for a while, and from all accounts, he's going to shut it down fairly soon. I wanted to draw some more attention to this. This art, this storyline, this is the second episode, if you will, second issue of Cobalt. Atlantis Thrashing was the first one, and this one here, Death Stalks Us, carries the story on even further. You can see it's a very.
Do you have a screen that you're looking to share?
Oh, is it not being?
We're not seeing it. I just want to make sure that we get some visual as we're. Sorry.
Yes, here I am trying to.
There we go.
Scroll up and down, showing you guys. All right. So yes, he's got a very painterly style on this storyline. The first issue was very, very good. I can't wait to read this second one. And let's see here. Got some great tiers, and there's a catch-up tier. So for those of you who didn't get Atlantis Thrashing, it's definitely worth watching or worth getting.
Yeah, very cool art style. And Jake definitely has like a lot of plans for this going forward. So it's great to see, that continuation of the story.
Right. Yeah. I think he works very hard on this. This is his passion project, and he's focusing on this storyline. Now, he does have another character that might spin off, but he's definitely going to continue on with Cobalt as well.
Really cool stuff.
Yeah, no doubt.
Great.
Mark, we are coming up at the top of the hour now. So what I wanted to do is before we go, I would ask you if there's anything else you wanted to mention before we go, and also ask you to tell us where we can find you on the socials, particularly your website.
Yeah, just like to mention Graveyard Shift Omega Storm is currently on Indiegogo. We're finishing up I think there's 10 days left in the first 30 days. This is the biggest Graveyard Shift book to date, 140 pages. It's a supplemental story that fits in between volumes 4 and the upcoming volume 5. Definitely check it out. But online, you can find me Twitter and Instagram at Coney Waves. My YouTube channel is Primetime Poulton, and my website is hauntedpizzallc.com. There you can find all the books, t-shirts, and hoodies.
I don't have a wrench but I just dropped it in the private chat, the link for
Okay.
his website, if you want to put it in.
We'll grab that, and then you don't have a wrench. We're going to have to fix that. Okay, there we go.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Everybody go take a look at that. Get all the books you haven't gotten yet from Mark, and watch for his new stuff. Thank you so much for being here, Mark. I'm surprised the hour is gone already. We've covered so much, but at the same time, it went by real quickly. Great to have you on the show again. Thanks for being here. And,
yeah, anytime.
Looking forward to seeing you again. Like I said before we went online or on the air, we've got some great changes coming up, so we'll have to make sure we get you on the new show format as well.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
Great to hang out with you, Mark. Really appreciate it.
Same here. Thank you.
Thanks for being here, Bandito. I love that you've been on repeatedly. You're a great co-host, and keep me honest when it comes to things like not sharing the screen.
I always do.
So, yeah, thanks to everyone for being here, and take care, everyone. Thanks again.
Hail and well met.